Welcome back to A Bit of Curiosity. I'm your host, Jeremy Howlett. Today's with me, as we're here between the holidays, looking forward to 2025. I invite us all to step forward to the end of 2025 and look back. So take this moment, take this time during this holiday break, if you've got some time, to ponder, to think, and to really reflect on what 2025 looked like. Because as we reflect on what 2025 looked like, we'll know a little more clear some of the things that we want to accomplish. For me, the use of visualization has really helped me to kind of shape my desires, shape my goals, figure out what I want, why I'm existing, what I'm trying to achieve. And I've come up with my current vision statement or vision ideal is really to unleash courage. And that's to unleash courage within myself, within my family, and within each of you, hopefully, right? Stepping outside of our comfort zones, doing hard things. One of the things that I really liked, so I studied philosophy. I was a philosophy major in college. I actually went back to college after Ultra. So from 2018 to 2020, I went back and got my bachelor's degree in philosophy and then went and got a master's. Not in philosophy, but in business. But in pursuing my degree in philosophy, I did it intentionally. I wanted to do philosophy for a reason. One, I always like ideas, thoughts, just really to ponder upon a lot of things. Philosophy is one of those things that does it for me. I enjoy religion. I enjoy the study of religion. I enjoy the study of just kind of the way that we think. And so philosophy was a great way to kind of take all of that. It was also a great opportunity to write more. I wanted to learn to become a better writer, to carry my thoughts down onto paper a little better. And so philosophy was one of those avenues to do that. And then I minored in history, which also required a lot of writing as well. But in the study and pursuit of philosophy, I dove into Plato's Republic a bit. And I really appreciate a lot of the dialogue that we see between Aristotle and others. And one of the allegories that Plato gives us is what's called the allegory of the cave. And it's in the allegory of the cave, it describes a group of prisoners chained in a dark cave since birth. They're unable to see anything but shadows cast on the wall before them. These shadows, which were created by objects passing in front of a fire behind the prisoners, represent their entire understanding of reality. So that all they know is these shadows in front of them. They believe the shadows are the truest form of existence because they've never experienced anything else. So their idea is this perception of reality. It's this casting of ideas up upon a wall. So eventually one prisoner is freed and he discovers the source of the shadows. Initially disoriented and pained by the light, comes to realize that the objects casting the shadows are more real than the images on the wall. As they venture further, as he ventures further out of the cave, he encounters the sun, which illuminates the ultimate truth. So imagine that growing up living just in a cave, right? Like seeing only shadows, and then coming and seeing the firelight and the brightness that offers, and then going out and seeing this brightness of the sun. And now having clear perception of reality, seeing everything as it truly is, having grown up and established living in shadows. And I think a lot of times that's what happens to us, is in our lives, we get caught in viewing the shadows, the perceived ideals, and we just kind of go through the motions. We get stuck in these just mundane details of life that may not really be our true existence, our true purpose, what we're really doing. This metaphor serves this allegory serves as a great metaphor for the human condition, for our existence. It shows the struggle to move from ignorance to understanding. I'm going from the darkness to the light, right? And the pain and just the contrast that exists there. Sometimes it's easy to go cling back to the familiar shadows, right? We don't want to necessarily face the light, to face the truth. And one of the things that as we set goals, right? As we set objectives, New Year's resolutions, whatever we want to call them, they're typically something that we want to do to take us from viewing just the shadows to being delivered into some brighter complexity of space. And that requires a lot of effort. It requires a lot of work, right? It requires changing our lives. I appreciate there's several books written on habits, right? Like I've got here on my bookshelf, right? Like Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Brendon Burchard's High Performance Habits, James Clear, Atomic Habits, Charles Duhigg, right? Like The Power of Habit, right? Like all of these books are written on habits and how to form and change habits and what habits we should have, what habits we ought to have. And those are all great. And I love those books and I appreciate all the things that are taught in them. But just reading a book not going to help us develop or grow, right? We have to put a lot of these efforts into action. So are we going to choose to sit in that cave and view these shadows on the wall and not figure out what they are? Or are we going to get up, find the source of the shadows, right? What is it? Like, what is reality? What do I really want in life? Who am I really striving to become? And so sit down over the course of the next few days. And if you're listening to this after the new year, fine, right? Like reflect, right? Like where are you? Where are you in your accomplishment of the tasks or goals or objectives or resolutions that you set out, right? Like have they gone by the wayside or are you still persisting on them? To use an example from James Clear, right? Like he talks about the British cycling team and he shares that story in his book. And the British cycling team was the worst. They were one of the worst cycling teams in the world. And they struggled every year. They just nothing. They could not put it together for whatever reason. And their coach came in and he's like, this is not about skill set. This is not about equipment. This is not about we just need to change the way we're doing things. And he couldn't overhaul the team. He couldn't, it wasn't like they were going to come in and all of a sudden be exceptional riders. But over the course of many months, he was able to develop a team that then competed and excelled at cycling. And the reason that he did it and the way that he did it was he went in and focused with his team and set a goal with his team to be 1% better every day. 1% doesn't sound like a lot, and it's not, but it takes effort. It takes work. It takes making some simple changes. And so if you're struggling to meditate, just don't have time. Or work out, right? Like what? Just don't have time. Well, get up 5 minutes earlier. Tomorrow, say, okay, I have a goal or I have a desire. I want to be healthier, right? Like I want to lose weight. Well, tomorrow, get up 5 minutes earlier. And then for that 5 minutes, do something. Go for a walk. Go do some sit-ups. Do some yoga. Do a little Pilates. Grab some weights and just do some arm curls. Whatever that might be, just go wake up 5 minutes earlier than you normally would. That'll give you the time. Don't grab your phone first thing, right? You don't even necessarily need a workout outfit if you're just going to take 5 minutes, right? Like just have your sweats by the bed, put them on when you get up and go do 5 minutes of something. See what that does for you. And if it's the next day, it's still only 5 minutes, that's okay. Maybe you can make it 6 after a couple of days. Maybe you can make it 10. But just start with 5 minutes. Get up 5 minutes earlier. Put in 5 minutes of effort into something and make an effort. Be 1% better. So going back to Plato's cave, right? Like how can we relate this to us, right? Like there's a lot of things that we can pull from this. It'd be a great study, right? Like grab Plato's Republic. You can get it online. Just Google The Allegory of the Cave by Plato. Read it, study it, right? Like you can figure out, you can learn it, right? Like, and then ponder about it and how you can apply it to your goal setting, to your intentionality. But I want to point out a few things that I drew from it. One is the intentionality and search for truth. Search for truth, setting of goals, unlocking our true inner self, becoming greater. It requires intention. I was in a meeting a few days ago and I really liked that contrast and that the trainer had given. talking about intentionality and leaning into being intentional. And they said one of the things that I like to do is look at the opposite, right? And the opposite that he had was just, I think he used the word reactionary or passive, right? But it was just being, right? Just doing, just what I'm supposed to do, right? What I feel obligated to do. And maybe it's not even feeling an obligation. Maybe it's just, I'm just going through the motions, right? I'm not being intentional about my day. When you get up in the morning, what's your first response, right? If we're grabbing our phone first thing in the morning, is that intentional or is that just reactionary? I like the concept of acting versus reacting, right? And intentionality is acting. And so here we have these individuals in this cave, and they're there, right? They're just existing, just going through the motions, right? They're not doing anything else. But obviously, at least one of them is able to free himself from that situation. But it required intentionality. And he didn't just stop at the fire. He kept going outside the cave, intentionally, seeking for clarity, seeking for greater just understanding of existence, right? Whatever that might be. But first and foremost is be intentional, right? And then as we're intentional, what are our desires, right? Setting out our desires. In the allegory, the initial pull to question reality comes from a desire for something more than the shadows. Desire motivates change and growth. But it can also tether us to illusions if not aligned with greater purpose, a greater being, greater existence. So when setting resolutions, setting goals, desire plays a big role, a dual role. It fuels action, but also can mislead if the goals stem from superficial wants. So what are those desires, right? We could desire to just enjoy watching the shadows, or we could desire to unlock ourselves and go see the light and experience the fullness of existence. So I invite you to find that desire. What is that desire? What is it that motivates you? And then with that desire, set some goals. Don't make it a long list. Don't make it a long list of to-dos. Maybe look at 3 or 4 things. Again, step yourself into December of 2025 and look back at the year and say, okay, 2025 was amazing because. And what is the because? What are the results? What are the things that happened? What were the places you went? Who were the people that you hung out with? Who did you learn from? What things did you do that you've been putting off forever? What hobbies did you pick up? How did you excel at another hobby? What were some of the things that you did that made 2025 remarkable? What was the trip that you've been delaying forever? I love the commercials that have run over the last little bit. Is it? I don't know, is it E-Trade or something? I don't remember exactly what they are. It's a banking commercial of some kind or investing, right? But they're singing the song about, hey, those trips that we never took that we always dreamed of, and then they've got all these empty picture frames from different parts in the world, right? Do we really want to be that? Do we want our goals to just be empty picture frames? Things that we once thought about doing, but for whatever reason, we pushed it aside because we're not supposed to do that, or I need to focus on this, or I don't have the money, or any number of reasons we could come up with. If that's really, truly what we want, then make it a priority. Make it the priority. And then look at all of the dominoes that you need to line up to knock down to achieve that, right? So if in 2025, you're sitting there in December and you're saying, that business that I started this year, and it's off to a great start. So excited. It's going to do amazing things. I'm going to help so many people. Great. What is that business? Okay. Now what do you need to do to put in order to start that business? What needs to line up? How can you break yourself away from just viewing the shadows of it and actually go and do it? Experience the reality. Cultivate the feeling and the existence and the excitement of it, right? If I'm sitting there in December of 2025 and that European vacation that we took, backpacking trains across Europe, Prague, Paris, Berlin, Florence, Italy, right? Like wherever that might be. Okay, great. Go do it. What are the things that need to happen to make it happen? Right? Like, is it going and finding the right credit card that can give you the miles, that can give you the points so that you can take the flight for free? Is it just saving up enough money, right? Like, is it putting aside? Is it sacrificing the burgers or the lattes or the going out to dinner? Like, are there a few changes that you can make to be 1% different, right? Like, so that you can take that amazing trip? There's so many things that we can do if we sit in December of 2025 and we look back at the year and we assess it. How did we live? What did we do? What did we accomplish? What were the things that we achieved? What were the places we saw? Who did we, like, all of these things, right? Like, they don't come to fruition unless we set an intention to go achieve them. But I think the easiest way to set an intention is to sit back in December and say, this was an awesome year. Because at the end of this year, you might be sitting and being like, why didn't I do that? Why didn't this year just, it was good, but I wish I'd have done this, or I wish I'd have done that, or, okay, I want to, like, okay, maybe you sit back in December of 2025 and you're like, I'm in shape. I just ran my first half marathon. It was amazing. I did it in 2 hours and 20 minutes, but that's okay. It was awesome. I felt so good afterwards. I felt fulfilled. Right? What do you need to do to train for that half marathon? What needs to change? What needs to change with your diet? What needs to change with your workout routine? How do you need to adjust your schedule to do it? So things are accomplishable, right? Like, they're doable, but we just have to set them. We got to say, okay, and then we got to hold ourselves accountable. So as we look at the cave, right, like, there's this just shadows. Like, let's break free. Let's escape just viewing shadows, things that could be, and let's go and find the things that are, and let's live as if they are, right? Like, it's the affirmations. It's the telling ourselves that this is who I am, right? Like, it's unlocking these key elements to our existence and saying, okay, I am this. I am fit. I am healthy. I am a rock climber. I'm a mountain biker. I'm a world traveler. Like, I'm a business owner. Whatever that I am is that you desire, go and assess it, set the intention, set the goals that'll help you to get there. Walk it back, right? Like, if this is the thing that you want, walk it back. What are the little things that I can do? I was on a conversation today with actually my coach, but great friend, and we were talking about some of the things that he's working on, and he's been writing a book for quite some time. And so I asked him, I said, how's that book coming? Honestly, I haven't written much at all. Said, okay, well, why not? I just kind of put it on the back burner, and I said, okay, well, I'm gonna see you in a week. Like, I'm gonna give you a challenge. I want you to write 1,000 words a day between now and the time I see you. That's 7,000 words. And he's like, okay, I'll find time to sit down and crank out 7,000 words. I said, that's not what I want. I want you to write 1,000 words a day. We can sit down and we can eat a whole turkey at one sitting, but we're going to be sick, right? Take your time at it, right? Like, because it builds the habit. It establishes what we're trying to achieve, right? And it helps us to be that 1% better every day. It helps develop that part of us, that routine, so that we're doing to create something that we're being. And it's changing. It's taking us from the cave, the shadows, the illusion, to now the experience of reality. So yes, I waxed philosophically here, pulling literal Plato out, but this allegory of the cave, it reminds us that meaningful change requires self-awareness. It requires courage to challenge illusions. It requires the intentional pursuit of higher truth, those inner divine truths that are inside of us, that are inherent within us, our purpose, our meaning for existing. And it requires us to break free of this captive bondage that the dark holds us down, and to experience and embrace and enjoy the light. And so how we do it is the big question, right? Like, how does the individual get free out of the cave, right? We don't know. Plato leaves that untold. It could be external liberation. Was he cut loose? Was he picked up? Was he shown the way? We don't know. Or it could have been internal drive. His internal self-awareness was like, that just isn't fulfilling. I want something different. And he just got up. And how are we going to respond? We've got this. I love news, right? Like, I love not news as in like the news. I don't love the news, but I love newness. I love a new week. I love a new day. I love a new month. I love a new year. Because these things, these changes, a new season, right? Like, it just is, it's a start over almost, right? Like, it's like, okay, well, yesterday may not have been ideal, but now I get to start fresh. Or yesterday was good, but today can be better. And I'm grateful for what yesterday was, but I'm excited and grateful for what today can be, or for what this week can be, for what this month can be, what this year will be. And as we show gratitude for what was, but even more so for what will be and can be, and the experience the newness, the refreshing, the resetting, we can break free from the shadows of illusion, and we can go forward into the brightness of hope, of excitement, of accomplishment, of achievement, of being who we truly are meant to be. And that could be any number of things. And I challenge you, I invite each of you to be more intentional. What is your desire? What are you longing to achieve? I'm going to do this too. I'm going to be traveling a little bit, and I'm going to be experiencing some things, and I am going to be very intentional about taking some time to ponder over what 2024 was, and then also what 2025 was, because I'm going to put myself into the future self and look back and find where I want to be, where I desire to be. And as I do that, I expect to be able to come up with some great ideas, some great things. And I invite you to do the same. I invite you to find that and then walk it backwards. What are the dominoes that need to fall? What are the things that need to fall into place so that I can break free of the illusions of comfortability, the illusions of the world, the illusions of whatever, right? And break into the light of deeper purpose, deeper existence, greater being. So again, thank you. I hope you share this episode. I love philosophy. I love what it can bring for us. I love the lessons that we can pull from it. And I hope that you share this, subscribe. It helps out. But again, this is a bit of curiosity. I'm Jeremy Howlett. I wish you a happy new year. And I hope that your holidays have been great. And I hope that 2025 is amazing. Thank you.